like to call to order the regular meeting of the Algonac Community Schools Board of Education on Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance and moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Phil Clark.
Here.
William Brady. Jennifer Baker here. Nicole Emery. Here. Andy Goulet.
Here.
John Highstreet.
Here.
Janice Gaskell. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. First up in our, I have to make an amendment to the agenda. I would like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add athletic stadium bleachers as item G under action items.
Support.
Support. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Bringing us to our first recognition and presentation, the St. Clair County Association of School Boards Scholarship recipient and their mentor.
Good evening. As the school's representative, I'm going to read this and give off the certificates. The St. Clair County Association of School Boards is pleased to announce that 7 students have been chosen for the association's annual scholarship awards. 7 outstanding students from our local districts will each receive $1,000. This year's scholarship recipients were selected from among 44 applicants countywide, after a vigorous screening process was conducted by St. Clair County Association of School Boards as executive council members. The association is proud to present your district's recipient to the 2024 annual scholarship awards, Ms. Casey Holton. Casey will be graduating in June from Algonac High School and plans to attend Central Michigan University, where she will pursue a degree in biology and pre-med studies with a minor in chemistry. After earning her bachelor's degree, she plans on attending medical school to become a doctor. Casey was very active in school by participating in varsity cheer for 4 years and captain, student council, CareBag, NHS, SAD, and college ambassador. Each student scholarship recipient was asked to name the teacher who had the greatest influence on their decision to pursue a degree in post-secondary education. For Casey, that teacher was Mr. Jason Luca. Good luck to Casey, and congratulations, Mr. Luca. I have some certificates for you both. You're welcome.
If we can ask you to come around and we'll shake your
come around
hands.
and shake hands.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. On the Chippewa
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, whatever.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. I got it.
All right. Up next, we have Miss Brenda Tenniswood to talk to us about the RESA budget.
Good evening, Mr. Latos, President Clark, and members of the Algonac Board. First of all, thank you so much for extending the invitation. It is a pleasure to be out and amongst Algonac Community Schools. Great support from your community, so always a pleasure to be here. And I know we have a jam-packed agenda this evening, so I'll attempt to be concise. Although this is intended to provide you literally with a 100,000-foot view of the RESA budget, I think more important, it really is intended to provide an opportunity for me as a superintendent and for the RESA board to say thank you. We truly appreciate the close collaboration that we enjoy with Al and your great administrative team. The work that we collaboratively do is too important for any one entity to do it, so we truly appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to help support where appropriate. And you know, if you walk away with nothing else, that's the most important of anything I'm going to say this evening, so thank you. But having said that, You know, when we put the recent budget together, we tend to budget conservatively, and if you read through the 200-plus pages, you would note that the proposed 24-25 budget looks very much like our 23-24 budget. 3 funds, and the general fund is the budget that has the most volatility because that is largely grant funded. So I just want to highlight a couple of key initiatives within our general fund. Early childhood. Over the last 10 years, that has exploded exponentially, and we're really proud to be able to offer families and young children across the county a ton of support. Obviously, universal pre-K is out there in some format over the next 5 years, and GSRP is going to play a pivotal role in that. You know, we know one of the challenges for many of our districts is there's not space to add a whole new classroom, but there may be space within existing GSRP classrooms to add additional children. So Becky Gorniak, our early childhood director, has been working really closely with local districts to say, what's your plan? How can we help? You know, what does that look like? So we're really excited to look at increasing the enrollment across the county in GSRP. This past year, we were able to offer more parent workshops, and that's something we're committed to doing in the upcoming school year. We know parenting can be really hard. I'm speaking from experience here. But for our parents of our youngest learners, having a safe space where they can go and learn, play groups, all critically important, and we're looking to increasing those next year. Additionally, right now we have in the county, just in 2 districts, a pilot. It's called Strong Beginnings, which is a free preschool for 3-year-olds. So it's small in scale, but thus far the results that we got this year have been really promising, so we're hoping at some point to be able to expand that. So I'll keep you updated on that one. Also under general fund is our career and college readiness system and support. So we are happy and pleased to offset the cost of our college advisors that are out in our local high schools doing great work, letting kids know a whole host of opportunities from skilled trades to community college to 4-year universities. This past year, we also were able to reprise our Middle School Innovation Academy, which is a program for selected 7th graders to come to RISA once on a Friday afternoon and really engage in place-based education. Great collaboration with friends in St. Clair River. I have never seen 7th graders so excited to go field tripping. They were in Lake Risa. If you've driven past Risa during the spring and the fall, we have a drain, it's clean water. But there are critters in the water, and so we had 7th graders out doing water testing and scooping critters of various kind out of our Lake Risa, and they thoroughly enjoyed that. Additionally, in CTE, that has been a large push. Is something we're really proud of at St. Clair Risa. Not only our tech center, but also trying to help local districts establish their own career technical education programs. So we had a number of students most recently go to the state Skills USA's competition. I know you had many students from Algonac go and place, so congratulations. That is an awesome opportunity for all of our students, whether or not they place, just being in Grand Rapids, going through the process of competing and enjoying the company of other teenagers from across the state has been really awesome, so we're proud to support that. I think one of our challenges, honestly, is at our tech building. We're trying to add another program. I haven't quite figured out how we're going to shoehorn that in, but 25-26, we're hoping to add another program. We're also looking at updating some of our machinery. We're looking at our metal machine program with CNC machinery. Some of our machinery in that particular program is pretty outdated, but the price of a single piece of equipment is really staggering, so we're working to figure out how we can do that with some grant funds. So really committed to continuing to offer not only our students but also our local districts great opportunities. Having said that, that is the most concise. You're my last of my 7-district tour. I'm getting more concise with each visit. So, but I would be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Just a comment, Brenda, and you know, we talk quite a bit, Brenda and I do, throughout the month and throughout the week sometime, and truly appreciate the partnership with RISA. And you know, one of the things that they do stress over there is that RISA is a service group, and they do serve the districts, the locals very well. Even down here in Algonac, which, you know, for years we had talked about, were we kind of a, you know, forgotten child down here in the south end, and I can assure you that Brenda makes sure that that doesn't happen. She is, you know, we're one of 7 locals and treated with a fair shake, and you know, for us and for our kids. That's all we could ask for. So certainly appreciate the continued support, Brenda, and keep up the good work.
Likewise, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And up next, we have St. Clair County Community Mental Health Creative Arts Contest recipient announcement.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Thompson with St. Clair County Community Mental Health, and our creative art contest was created to encourage students' participation and awareness about mental health practices. This year's theme was Building Bridges to Wellness, Nurturing Hope, Healing, and Resilience. We are pleased to announce that the following student from Algonac Community Schools was recognized in our contest. Olivia Pastrone, who's in 9th grade, was recognized in our high school art contest with honorable mention. Tonight, I'd like to present her a certificate of recognition and a copy of our Creative Arts Workbook. Olivia's artwork is featured in our Creative Arts book and online. We'll also be displaying it at our upcoming annual meeting and awards breakfast. And then after that, she'll receive a mailed copy of her artwork. So we'd like to thank Olivia for entering our contest. And we also appreciate Algonac Schools for allowing their students to be involved with this, and we look forward to next year's submissions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if Olivia's here.
Oh,
Okay, so I'll leave this, and then if someone can get it to her, that
We
might be
certainly will.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item, Chick-fil-A outdoor classroom, will be deferred to a later date this summer. I think something just came up.
Yep. Just
Bringing us to all right, and that brings us to the Amplify Elementary Reading Curriculum update. We've got a whole group here to share with us.
I'm happy to introduce some of our elementary staff that have worked super hard on our journey, looking at different curriculums, narrowing it down, and finally piloting. So we have Tiffany Dawson, Jess Tetler, and Katie Cornway. They're our intervention staff. Kim Wood, kindergarten teacher, and Mackenzie McDonald is a 3rd grade teacher, soon to be 4th grade.
All right, welcome. All right, my name is Tiffany Dawson, and I'm one of the ELA committee members. Like Mrs. Lestage said, there's quite a crowd. Not all of us are here this evening, but it does have a representative from each grade level that is part of our committee, and then our interventionists as well as elementary administration. So our journey for a new curriculum began last May, and we are still currently working through it. We started by looking at ed reports. That is where they evaluate the curriculum and make sure that they are hitting our standards. From there, we talked to neighboring districts, finding what they were interested, or what they had, how they liked it. Also, we brought RESA in for that. From our ed reports, we did decide to kind of look at 7 different curriculum off to your right. We met in grade level teams and kind of went through the pros and cons of each program. We looked at user friendliness, the writing, phonemic awareness, phonics, vocab, like all those components, as well as parent involvement. From there, we narrowed it down to 3 to research a bit further. We did a rubric when it came to that, even digging a little deeper into that. And from there, we came up with Amplify, CKLA, to pilot. We started piloting it this January. There was a pilot in each classroom, kindergarten through 5th grade. Amplify really looks at and follows the scientific theory of the simple view of reading, which in the end you'll get reading comprehension if students understand word recognition and also language comprehension. So those subgroups in word recognition are really looking at phonics, phonemic awareness, alphabetic principles, as well as letter sound correspondence. And then the language piece goes more into background knowledge, vocabulary, and understanding our language structures. Amplify is set up to hit upon each and every one of those. So in our K2 program, it has a piece for 60 minutes where we're working on that language comprehension. They're looking at vocabulary, sentences, that background knowledge. And then they have 60 minutes later in the day where they work on the skills strand, where they're looking at sounds, letters, and words. So that is K through 2, and then the strands come together, and when there's some automaticity, then they work 3 through 5 on that comprehension piece. These are just some of the, or these are the skills units that our grade levels will be going through. It is very science heavy as well as social studies heavy and some really rich literature. As you can see, there are some lines that follow their way through, building upon that background knowledge as they move through the grade levels. You can see that we've got classic tales, then in kindergarten it's stories, fables and stories, and then as we move to the older grades, those continue. We go into Greek mythology, classic tales, and then back through some fiction and poetry. So there's quite a bit of knowledge that they learn throughout. As a parent, we have conversations about this on an evening. The vocabulary that they're bringing home is amazing. So just to dig a little deeper, I have Mrs. Wood here who teaches kindergarten. I'll tell you a little bit more about that.
So in kindergarten, we work on the phonological and phonemic awareness, print concepts, the alphabetic principle. There's a lot of grammar in there, the writing mechanics. You know, we work on handwriting. They do a lot of word recognition, and we're really, when we work on the skills, it goes through the whole thing. We might do dictated sentences where they're using the skills that we learned that day. In the knowledge portion of it, like Mrs. Dawson said, it's amazing the things that they are learning and the questions that parents are asking. What are you guys learning? We just finished up our unit on kings and queens, and everybody wanted to be a princess until they learned about what it was really like. You know, we talked about, we're working on weather right now, which is working closely with our science. So there's a lot of cross-curricular things that are going on. Like I said, there's daily practice and reinforcement. You know, we're working on handwriting. There's a lot of partner reading. We're writing about what we read every day. So. These are some of the decodable readers that we have. The top row is kindergarten, and then first grade, and then second grade. This is some of the computer, technology portion of it. So there's a lot.
The kids can access this at home.
And so if you have a student that's absent for a couple days in a row, they can just log on and they can see what we're seeing in class.
And the nice thing is too, along with being able to see what we do in class, is also each kid has a workbook, but the nice thing is if they're gone or they happen to miss something, if they get pulled for, you know, a different assignment, they can access that online. So any work that they might miss in class, they can just upload it, do it on the workbook online, and then send it right our way, which is really nice for our Google Classroom. And then I know the younger grades use Seesaw, so that's also a benefit.
Are they using the online resources in class, or is that more supplemental at home or catch up?
They can. I will say, when we were discussing earlier, I was kind of trying to get my feet wet with just the paper copies this year, just since it was a lot, but I was telling them this morning that I'm excited to kind of implement that online portion next year, just because I do feel a little bit more comfortable with the paper, just to save on some things as well. And sometimes it's nice for the kids to practice with the typing, because that's a huge skill that they need to use. So just that extra, even if they were to do it on paper, to reinforce it with the online.
And in kindergarten, we are kind of working on a whole class, so I'm learning as they're learning.
Sure.
fifth grade, so I teach third right now. So this is the first year where it's kind of braided together. We don't have those separate components, it's all in one. So third grade is 120 minutes of instruction, and then fourth and fifth is 90 minutes. But you're really starting to see how those things get braided together. Although this is only my third unit piloting, it's really crazy, like the questions the kids are coming up with, like Mrs. Wood was saying, the conversations that it opens up. They're really being forced to practice those skills that we're practicing in class that they've then later seen on the M-STEP per se, or taking it into the NWEA. So really applying that knowledge, and just from previous experience in other years, I would teach text features and graphic features, I felt like till I was blue in the face. But the kids, I would come to a question and they'd say, I don't know, Miss McDonald. But now I'll say, all right, like, what does the photo tell us? What does the Jolly caption? What does the glossary tell us? And the kids are actually able to show me and tell me right at the beginning of every lesson. They're told to flip to the table of contents in their student reader. And the kids have gotten so quick that now they're hands up to help kids that aren't there yet with what page number we're on. So really just them not only practicing, but really applying those different skills and that knowledge in class, making those connections cross-curricular. I just did, my second unit was the animal classification, which backed up super nice to our animal science unit. I almost felt like the kids really came in with so much knowledge that they were making connections that I didn't even think of. Since previous years the kids hadn't made those connections, it was really me like trying to pull out the answer, where now they're super confident. And some of those kids that normally didn't want to share because they thought the answer was wrong, they're realizing there's a lot of different ways to think about these topics and to share their knowledge in like a comfortable spot. So that's been super cool to see, just at the third grade level, and I've heard great things from the fourth and fifth grade teachers too. Okay, so each of the units for third through fifth, well, at least for third, I know for sure, it comes with the workbook, and then I do a read aloud as the teacher, so they're practicing that listening comprehension, and then they also each get a student reader that has all of the stories that we're going to go through together in class. And as far as I know for fourth and fifth, they also get the workbook and they have the reader. Third grade's kind of that extra read aloud piece to kind of almost like let them go slowly from the skills and knowledge strands being separate K through second. So third grade will have that switch year before they kind of get more into the heavier stuff. But it's been super cool. The kids love when it's Amplify time. They know our routines, they're ready to go. The stuff that they're learning is incredible. Like I said, the connections they're making. I just guess I didn't really think 8-, 9-year-olds sometimes can think that deeply, but they're definitely proving me wrong. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go, and then they step up to the plate and I'm always pleasantly surprised. So that's super awesome. And they're confident, so it's been good all around. So going into, again, the online classroom, they have access to it through online, which is great since we do have the Chromebooks. So we can still use the paper copy, because I know me, I still would prefer just a paper reader. It's just nice to be able to just see it in person, but also the nice thing for the online portion is everything can talk to each other. So if they weren't there, or as I was saying earlier, if they wanted to practice some of those online typing skills, they have it at their fingertips as an option as well.
Quick question about the online materials. Is it federated with their Google ID and everything, or do they have different credentials for
No,
every-
it'll be the same. We can share it right to our Google Classroom, which is really nice. Yeah.
This is what kids are saying about Amplify. Oh, no. Well, they were awesome.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Awesome, and that they love it. That's essentially yes.
Let's see if we can get that through that one.
All right, so in the Center kindergarten, we do a lot of paired reading. We do whole class choral reading. We do independent reading. They're working on the skills that we've learned in class that day. We do a lot of answering questions, the comprehension piece of it, and they're writing to go along with what we're learning. If you can see, they're talking about seedlings in one of the writing pieces. They're kind of like daily journals. And like I said, we do the dictated writing.
This is
the first grade one. I don't teach first grade, I'm a reading interventionist in KN1, but this is the first grade classroom that is piloting. And she was doing the knowledge domain, it was called Fairy Tales, and during the knowledge piece, they have certain lessons due each day, but then there's pausing days broken, so if you needed to go back and reteach, or it's just like to give you extra time. It had like a list of 10 different activities, like fun things you could do that tie in what they just learned. So this one was making puppets that went with the fairy tales, and then the kids put on a puppet show after they created those puppets. So that was the knowledge piece, but then I was talking in first grade and watching in first grade, and when Kim was talking about in kindergarten when they are learning the handwriting strokes for each letter, it builds on that in first grade. So if they're learning like the or sound, like O-R sound, when it teaches them the sounds, it also, you explicitly teach them how you form each letter, even though they already know how to do it, just like to cement it. So that was another thing. And the things that I've seen happening in kindergarten, it's just like a step further, obviously, in first grade. Also, they, something has been introduced, like nouns and verbs. Later, she said, in like the next unit, it comes back up again, so it's not like something's taught and then it goes away, it just keeps coming back again to make sure kids are not forgetting about it. And that is first grade. Oh, yes. When we asked the companies to send us just like things when we were gonna go through the rubric, the little box back there is what Amplify sent us. That's the first grade one. They sent us one for each grade. But I brought the first grade one and I'll leave it back there, so afterward if you want to just look at like what the workbooks look like or what the teacher guide looks like, that's there. Thank you for remembering that.
Alicia Coos was the piloting teacher for second grade, and she was teaching about Greek mythology, the Great Wall of China, Greek mythology, and tall tales. And when she was asking her students what they liked best, one thing that really struck her is it appealed to a lot of different kids. It was spread across the board on who liked what. It wasn't like they had one big favorite out of those topics. She also really was pleased with the fact that they did culminating writing at the end, and the students, they said that they really appreciated that kind of writing and the quality was really high, and she was really impressed with that.
All right. So my kids had a lot of good things to say about Amplify. It was hard to just name a few, but a few that I'll point out. One that really stuck out to me when I collected these slips from the kids was, my favorite thing about Amplify is how it pushes your thinking, which grows your brain, just because it really does push them to think not only outside the box, but even deeper about some of these things and really think about what their answer is going to be before they just say it. It really wants them to provide evidence, which is huge, getting the kids not to yes, or because, but actually saying why, or how do you know that? And then a few of my kids right now, our unit is on the Native Americans and the different regions that they lived throughout the United States. And so a couple of those, my kids said, my favorite thing about Amplify is the Native American unit because I get to learn about the past. My favorite thing about Amplify is the fact we can do activities and it pushes my thinking so much. Also, I like the Native American subjects. I know about the Hopewell, Southeast Native Americans, Hopi, etc. And then our other unit, like I was saying earlier, was the animal classification, which the kids just ate up. Like they're eating up all of these units. But my favorite thing is when we learned about animal classification because I like learning about animals. I enjoyed writing our informational paragraphs. That was super cool. We kind of slowed down the writing to really show them what a good paragraph does look like and the different pieces that go into a good paragraph. And at the end, each kid had a different animal group that they got to pick an animal from. And then we voted, we put them into groups of like 4 or 5, each having a different animal from that category. And they voted on who wrote the best paragraph, like who was hitting our things we all agreed on our checklist. So that was super cool that they had some voice to kind of say, all right, well, I really liked my paragraph, but this kid definitely had a better topic sentence. They had better information that they included, which goes into a couple of these paragraphs that the kids had to work with that topic sentence, give their evidence, have a concluding sentence, which again all filters into all the expectations as they go throughout school and high school papers and college papers. And then the other unit we did in between animal classification and now our Native Americans was the light and sound, which I was very nervous about as a teacher, just because I felt like I didn't necessarily understand light and sound in very scientifical terms as a teacher, you know, that kind of just the light turns on because it does. So, but the kids, like, I told them, like, we're gonna do this together. They were super excited. They were making connections of books that they were reading in their independent time. A couple kids came up to me like, Ms. McDonald on the M step, they were like, this was on there. I was like, oh, that's great, we can't talk about that, but that's super cool that you can make that connection. And so they actually got to do a newspaper article at the end, which was awesome, because newspapers aren't big really anymore, so that was cool to introduce that type of writing to them. We went through some different articles. We picked out what do all these newspaper articles have in common. These are all the things we need to include in ours. And so then they got to pick either the incandescent light bulb or the telephone and kind of talk about answering those 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, and then that how. So that was really cool for them to talk about, you know, back in the day, they had candles and it might like light your house on fire, so the incandescent light bulb's super safe. And so it was just cool to see how they would tie it in and kind of put in their own voice of still trying to be a newspaper writer. So the kids have loved it. The writing's been awesome, just along with the readings and the topics. So, and you want to take on some?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Sue Koleski was our piloting teacher for the 4th grade units, and her students were learning about the American Revolution, poetry, geology, and the American War, and Paul Revere. And one of the big takeaways for me, because I'm not in the natural classroom to see all of these lessons, I did get to see the 5th grade one, which I'll tell you a little bit about. I was doing NWEA testing with 4th graders today, and I had 2 of them who were from Sue's class, the rest of them were not, and they called me over, they're like, this was what we just learned about. And they were so excited that it was connecting there, and they felt confident. It was the poetry and the geology, the vocabulary that was there. So they were seeing those connections. This is some of the writing that Sue's class did after they were doing some of their geology units.
I'll say one quick thing. Before Sue left today, she did tell me that one student wrote her a thank you note for teaching him about poetry because he was able to apply it on the NWEA. Yeah, so he physically wrote her a thank you note. I was like, you should tell them that. I was like, okay, I'll tell them that. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, that is so cool that he took the time to thank her for that. All right, sorry.
He's a big kid.
Yeah,
he is. I get a pocket connector too. Okay, and then 5th grade, this is something that Jacqueline Hooper was doing the 5th grade pilot. These are some things that she was doing where they had been learning about ancient civilizations, and then they were critiquing the different civilizations, and then they created this writing. She also, I got to see her lesson. We were able to go around to the different classrooms and see these in action, because it just means so much more to see the kids engaging with things. And they were reading Don Quixote, okay, which is a really complicated, complex text for a 5th grader. And I thought, how is this going to sound? And then they were talking about the background knowledge that had led up to that, and they had such a deep understanding of like the character traits of these characters and what they thought was going to happen next. I was sold. I was so surprised that their conversation was so rich.
All right, so how is it going? Well, we find that students are very engaged and excited about their learning. And parents are really coming to us and like, what are you teaching them? We're having these crazy conversations at home, and they're really excited to share their new learning. I found out my daughter's learning about bugs, and that we eat a lot of bugs and insects in our food, and did you wash that? But she's bringing those conversations home. There's a lot more higher exposure to new concepts and skills, and it's heavily cross-curricular with science and our social studies topics. It also means that the science of reading research, allowing for grant opportunities such as the 35J and letters training. We have also had a lot of support from Amplify staff themselves with question and answer sessions. They've come to do walkthroughs in the classroom, giving us support. We've had PD days already, so they are very supportive on any questions or concerns that we have. As far as budgeting, and funding, here is what the kits are compiled of when they come. So we get complete classroom sets from K to 5. We get consumable sets for 5 years, decodable readers, digital experience for 5 years, so those digital platforms will be available. Trade books, the teacher parts, and then also professional development as well. So there's a total down there. Our administration staff, as well as Al, has written a grant that has covered that and then some. So the money is not an issue. So, any questions?
Just one quick one. I mean, in terms of scope and sequence, you know, if you're looking at, and I know you guys just did the half year, but looking at it from September all the way through June, I mean, is there autonomy along the way? I mean, does it pretty much keep you paced, or do you guys have some flexibility in what you teach when? And
There's a pacing guide, and then there's also some pausing points that are meant to where you would do some assessing and then reteach if you needed to, but they do have that all laid out in a pacing guide. One of the other things that I just want to interject is I've had the opportunity to sit with the piloting teachers, and every week they meet, and it's really neat to see the kids are really engaged, and it's refreshing to see teachers really engaged with it too, because having some fresh, good tools to be able to work with addressing standards, that energy is really, it'll carry out when you see your kids so excited about things. So.
I was just thinking, this sounds so cool. Is this really that cool, or is it just your energy that we're
It is.
like you're engaged, we're excited.
And our literacy coach, she was sharing too. I said, what really stands out that's kind of different about this? And she said, well, kids are learning to read and reading to learn simultaneously, and that's what all of our research is saying is the way to do that, with that strength with the cross-curricular connections.
Appreciate the brave ones that piloted. There's always good and bad to that. You're the guinea pigs, but at the same point, you're a year ahead next year, so we'll get that going for you. So thank you, ladies, very much, and thanks for presenting tonight.
Thank you. Nice job. With that, we have made it to the end of recognitions and presentations. So if anyone would like to sneak out, now's a good time. You can grab snacks and coffee if you'd like. Otherwise, welcome to stay.
Kristen, that's you too. Feel free. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
I'm also an Algonac parent, so stick around.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. And that brings us to consent agenda items. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I motion that the Board of Education approves all consent agenda items, including agenda, minutes, personnel items, treasurer's reports, and bills as listed, items A through C. Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions, comments? I do have one question. There's a couple staff members that are leaving, kind of like on leave. Does that mean those are positions that get held and you replace them? If someone says, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back for a couple of years.
well, they're all different based on the contract and what it is that they're, if they're on FMLA versus if they're on an unpaid leave.
Mm-hmm.
In these cases, as they stand right now, they are considered on unpaid leave, meaning they've expended their medical leave and now they are, choosing to stay home. Both of these in that you're looking at, their maternity, both cases. What that means for them, Phil, is that they do not hold their position any longer. We post for the position. If, when they're ready to come back, if there's a position that they're certified and qualified for, they would be entitled to that position. Not the same position necessarily that they left. It's kind of the roll of the dice thing. But if they were to come back, and again, if there was a spot available at that time.
You're not in a situation where you have a substitute or something long-term?
Well, we had up until, but yes, going
next
forward
year,
now. Yeah, we're looking at moving forward with hiring this one. So.
Any other questions? Right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Bringing us to administrative reports and information items. Mr. Melrose.
Yes. All right, well, first of all, last Friday was finally the end of state testing. It's always a marathon, but we did, got done with SAT, PSAT, work keys, MSTEP. So we got them all completed. Again, everything went pretty smoothly. We had no glitches. Like I said, everything but work keys is online now, and everything worked out really well. So it went fine for the testing. Right now, kids can go right on to NWA testing, so they're doing their spring testing right now, so we'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks. Last Tuesday, our 8th graders went on their SC4 field trip. It's always a nice trip for them, because a lot of these kids have not been on any college campus. So for them to get to go up to SC4, see what they have to offer, it's always a good thing to get the kids thinking and get ready, and they enjoyed that. And as you can see here in the library here, Ms. Guzik had their art displays here up and running, and if you look out there, again, she says the kids doing a lot of incredible stuff here, and she's doing quite a bit of shows, and she continues to plan on building on that as in the future years as well, but she's doing an outstanding job. I'm very impressed. Last Tuesday, the middle school and high school band concert was again last Tuesday. Again, I couldn't be there. I had to take my daughter for a certification program in Grand Rapids, but from everything I've heard, it was fantastic. I can't say enough for the senior and junior leadership of the band. They got the middle school kids prepared. They ran their program. They did a fantastic job. Mr. Kabinski, our new band teacher, was there as well. And just to let you know, he joined last week, and he's hit the ground running, and he's already moving, and he's running with it. And so we're really pleased with that direction. Choir is this Thursday, 7 p.m. The choir will be having their concert. This past Friday, the middle school drama program did their Little Mermaid. They did an afternoon and an evening session, and I was there for the evening one, and they did a fantastic job. The kids were really cute. They did great. And I'm really excited that we're going to have a high school section of this next year. And again, it's just kind of building on to those programs, and we're excited for that. Also last Friday, we had our senior field trip, or field day, that we just had here out by the track. That was organized by Miss Nash, our college advisor. Seniors had a great time. She did a really good job of organizing that, and that kind of. Then also this past Saturday, we had our senior all-night party. That went well. So I thank the parents for helping to organize that. And then we're into our last week with our seniors right now. And that's going to lead to all the stuff here at the end. And this being their last week, prom will be on June 3rd. And then we have our senior awards on the morning of the 7th, and then obviously graduation the evening of the 7th. We have our middle school trip to Metro Beach will be June 3rd. And the last thing is our 6th grade orientation here will be June 4th. All the 6th graders will come up here, have lunch, and just get to see what the junior high school is all about.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mrs. Lestage?
So we had our last PTO event of the year, Spring Carnival, the last Friday of April. It went really well. We had a great turnout and made a lot of money, which is super helpful because PTO provides transportation for all our students' field trips. So keeps the cost very low for our families and lets our students have some pretty neat experiences that we probably couldn't afford otherwise. Our elementary music, our 4th and 5th graders performed a couple weeks ago for their final concert. It was like a recycling theme, so that was neat. Also, my 6th grade performing arts class also did Little Mermaid Junior, and they were just outstanding. I feel like, the more Mrs. Mahala gets into this, like each performance is just getting better and better. So that's very exciting to watch and see that program grow. Mr. Kubinski, like Ryan said, he's hit the ground running. He's already sent me emails. He's doing some instrument fittings before the school year gets out, and he wants to fit every student, just in case they didn't know they wanted to do band. He wants to give them a little taste of it, and we're going to do 5th and 6th grade band next year to kind of beef up our numbers and get things back on track. So I'm looking forward to that. MSTEP just completed. The students did really well this year. They worked hard, focused, and we're looking forward to sharing the official results. Today we had Child Safety Matters come out and present to all of our grade levels about internet safety. That was from the St. Clair County Council of Abuse and Neglect. So they came out and did that. Also, we had vision and hearing testing going on, the first time that they've come back out to our schools since COVID. So we're kind of expecting maybe a little uptick of some issues that we're gonna have to iron out before next year. But that's for our first and third graders. This Friday, the trail grand opening is coming. It's the Bio Blitz. And we also have Proud Michigan Educator coming out to kind of do like a little piece on Mrs. Degowski and our trail and the outdoor classroom. So that will probably hit Facebook sometime over the summer, so keep your eyes open for that. Wrapping up, we got field trips going on, placements, transition visits from like GSRP to Millside to Algonquin up here. So that's been pretty busy. 6th grade recognition will be June 11th at 1 p.m. You guys should be receiving an official invite soon. If you can make it, that would be great. And our field days are going to be the 12th and 13th of June.
Thank you. We don't have, what's,
Melissa and Dana are
okay. Is Mrs. Rowley stepping in? And board reports. Any board reports?
I just want to say, you know, having these folks, our teachers show up here with the energy that they exude, that if they're exuding this much here, it's only imaginable what a great effect they're making in our classrooms. There are a lot of people, you hear a lot of negative commentary about education and educators, and I've been around buildings and have been in staff members' classrooms for years and years, and I'll stand ours up against anybody's, and good job. Thank you.
So, thank you. Anything else? All right, Mr. Latos.
Yep, got a list here today, so I'll try to get through them somewhat quickly. Jen and Janice and I have, with our board policies, have kind of reached the end of at least the policy parts. There's some other pieces that came along with Troon, things with the student handbook and staff handbook and some of those types of things, but the actual policies themselves, we vetted them. So now the next step will be for you guys to get them and kind of at your leisure over the course of the next month and a half or so, kind of go through those. And my plan would be in July, we could have kind of a, a session, and it could be within a regular board meeting or a special board meeting to kind of review and talk about any of those policies or things that you might want to see done. Again, the goal is always, we wanted to get those policies in place, action item in July or at very latest August. The one policy that requires 2 readings is the anti-bullying policy, which we're supposed to review as a group and then come back for a second reading on it. So that'll be included in what gets sent out to you. So appreciate the hard work.
We don't have to do a second reading for all of it?
No, we could do it all in one. So, but my thought would be we would review it and talk and then do a final on it. But thanks a lot, John and Janice, certainly for coming in and doing some mornings over there. And board policy is in no way, shape, or form entertaining thing to go through. So I certainly appreciate that. And instead of me sitting there doing it myself, and Jana, I appreciate, and we dragged Jana into it too, so she didn't have to try to interpret my notes at the end of it. And so I appreciate that, Jana, for having that stuff all set up. So both have mentioned the state testing closing up. Did get some and will obviously present scores at some point here. And I think most of you that have worked with me for a while know kind of my feelings on state standardized test scores, and kind of, sometimes I don't know how much validity that goes into those. But at the same point, peeking at Brooke's numbers, and she shared with me last week, just really significant gains across the board. And I don't, with the new math curriculum that we start, I'm hoping that that's kind of bolstered those scores a little bit. And then obviously with the ELA curriculum coming, might be some good things for us in terms of that. So appreciate that, but that's a big part for them to get through in the spring, and I know that's a lot of work on you guys, so I appreciate the hard work. Tomorrow I will be in Lansing all day. I have a 8:30 meeting with Jay DeBoyer out there, and we have through the K-12 Alliance, have a whole day planned. Part of that day will be meeting with Governor Whitmer for about a half hour, so we get a little bit of her time. And really what we're talking about, what's hot right now is budget, and we're talking about, we've talked in the past, and I shared with you my thoughts on the MIPSR money, which was the retirement money that we've used to pay down that debt, and that really has been taken care of at this point. And so that money's sitting out there, and it's almost $700 million, and it's K-12 money as far as I'm concerned. That was money that was in K-12. It's been used for other purposes, but now that they have that money and it's not accounted for, it needs to come back to K-12 and get to our kids and get in the classrooms. And so that's what we're out there to talk about tomorrow. And we got a nice group of superintendents going out there. I think we've got about 40 or 50 of us that are going to be out there and talking to the right people anyway. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that at the end of June we make some progress, because district our size, that would probably be about roughly $500,000 for our kids to have in the classrooms. And the nice part about that is that's ongoing. That would become part of our foundation allowance per pupil. So it's a big chunk of change, and if we lose it and if they don't put it back in, I don't think we'll ever see that money again. So we're battling hard for it. So
How do you feel sport is?
Well, the nicest part, I'm glad you asked that, because just earlier this week, a letter was sent to both the state senate and then to the governor as well, and it's from MEA, it's from MASA, so teachers group, principals group was in there, K-12 Alliance, superintendents group, about every organization in the state that has to do with education put their name to that letter and supported it. And to get all those, even though we're all educators, generally we have some differences in where we want money to go. That's the first time I've seen that kind of unity on a letter that's going to the state. So sure hope it has an impact, and at least they're going to be thinking about this. One of the things that we've tried to do along the way for our employees when it comes to childcare rates over at the daycare, we've always tried to give them some kind of a break and a discount. Well, after COVID, when we got a lot of those grants and a lot of money, we've actually been able for 2 years to provide free childcare for our people. Well, the COVID money's kind of gone, and we are now realizing that program we're going to be running in the red. And my goal with that program is never to make money, but just to break even and provide a service to the community, provide a service to our staff. Well, like I said, we're lagging behind. We looked at the numbers. I sat down with Dana, I sat down with Dorothy, found out kind of where we're at. So for next year, the employees that are currently using that, I emailed them, let them know that for next year, we'll still provide half childcare for them, which is still a pretty significant chunk and still a pretty good break and a good benefit for them. But at this point, can't do the full rate right now. And costs have gone up, employee costs have gone up, diapers have gone up, paper towels gone up, all that stuff. So all the things that go along with that have increased. So we'll still do something for them, it's just not gonna be the same. Brooke had mentioned the Algonac Trail on the 24th, 9 o'clock. Kind of activities will be going on throughout the morning over there, but Nikki Degowski, I certainly if you run into her, make sure that you point out she spent countless hours not only working with the kids, but she's out there every weekend. They're doing something out there with those trails. you know, she finally got it kind of looking the way she wanted to, and then the storm hit, knocked a bunch of trees down, so that's, you know, a whole other thing. But at the same point, she's been great with, you know, just making sure that's gonna be a nice learning spot for our kids. She's marketed to where, like Brooke said, we've got a group from MDE coming out. It's been kind of out there, and it's just a great experience for the kids that took part in that, and a great thing for years to come for our kids, so
She's
it's
done an awesome job.
pretty awesome, yeah. I was approached by a community member that had asked about wanting to be involved. She's deaf and wanted to be involved with the school a little bit more, and wanted to be involved with school board meetings. And so she had talked to me about, you know, the potential of having someone come in to sign in a group. So I with a little help from her, I got a hold of a group that's in Lansing, not Lansing, Sterling Heights. I'm going to Lansing. Sterling Heights, about coming out and signing at our board meetings. And so talked to a group. They're more than happy to help us out. They've got, this isn't like the only request they've ever had like that. So if all goes well, starting in June, we'll have somebody here to provide that service for not only her, but anybody else that needs it. So that's pretty cool. The last thing that I really have for you is I sent you out an email a while back regarding a staff administration shift and some things that we had been and we've talked about it as a board for quite a few years, that when the time was right, if we had an opportunity, we'd love to see somebody come in and handle a couple things at the not only the high school level, but the K-12 level, in terms of curriculum and in terms of, you know, communication with the community and some of those types of things. You know, we're pretty thin, obviously, in the administrative ranks. We've kind of dwindled down to 5. And so the plan to bring Melissa Hanners on is our curriculum communications person. I think it's the time to do it. We have a new curriculum. Our math curriculum's still somewhat new. ELA is going to be brand new, and then we're going to be back on it at the high school level, you know, starting to provide updates to that curriculum. So I think the timing of it's right. Like I said, I really do want to give our kids that opportunity. I want to make sure there's data out there, guys, that we're not touching right now. Data that could drive our instruction, data that could help us with making decisions, that it's there, but you need someone to mine through that data, and you need someone to pull it down. The state provides a lot of it, but it's not in a format that you can use. And so, again, I just think it's something that can help our teachers drive their instruction, and you know, I think the timing is right of that. The other part of that position is someone's going to vacate Millside, and I have Amber here tonight, and she just came on her own accord. I didn't make her come, but Amber will be moving in to fill the position over at Millside. Amber, you know, has been the assistant principal over at Algonac now, got some experience. She's worked really in administrative capacity over at GSRP and in the preschool for quite a few years, and I think it's a good step for her. I think she's ready. We're excited to have somebody on staff to be able to move into that spot. And Brooke said she didn't really need her over there anymore anyway, so the timing of it was perfect. So no, but we're excited about the moves all the way across the board, and you know, they've kind of let the staffs know at this point, and got a couple replacing Amber. Of course, is going to be a decision that we'll make, but we're going to get that posted out there this week and kind of go from there. That's the end.
Question about the next door. Is the stuff that Brenda Tenniswood was talking about as far as early childhood, is any of that money, that any of those resources that come to us, will there be an increase in any of that to help us with our situation over there, or how does that work?
It will, Andy. You know, with what was advertised out there in the governor's budget, with all, because she was pretty adamant about that we were going to start universal pre-K now, And that's kind of been pushed back probably at least a year, and now her plan is to have that in place over the course of a couple years, because just with the staffing that you're gonna have to hire, the physical space, right, to get that ready, it's not a 2-month or 3-month, you know, when the budget's not done and we're almost, you know, into June, and we open up school in September, it's just not feasible. So, the money is gonna be there, it will be there, it's gonna, but the process of, you know, there's pretty stringent requirements still on the child care people that come in, the ongoing education that they have to have, so those people just aren't floating around out there right now. So it's gonna take a little bit of time to get people prepped for it. Physical space in terms of over at Point Trumbull, you know, we've got space, we might have to repurpose some of the space. But not too soon. But,
No space that I know of.
but there's some other things too that we've looked at along the way, and you know, with our population, what it is in the K-1 level, and you know, we've talked about, can Millside absorb some of those classrooms, or can they absorb GSRP program and leave this building as a, you know, pre-K. So just some ideas out there, nothing that we have to probably jump to yet, but they promise the money will be there, and so that's what
That's all we need to know.
Yeah, that's what we're keeping our fingers crossed on.
I do have two that can be kind of your, you know, part board reports, part yours. Do we need to pick a date for training for the MASB? You're gonna try and pin that down, right?
Yeah,
Do that right now?
we will, but let me send it to you, like in terms of what they have available, because I think
Okay.
they're gonna kind of tell us. So the board, with the new evaluation system, you are all supposed to be retrained. My administrator's all supposed to be retrained. I have to be retrained on the board tool, and there's really not a big difference to other than the fact that it's kind of, they've taken 2 categories and kind of crammed them into one.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion is that it's a good money grab for some companies and for, you know, but it's costly, and it costs, the money we have to spend on getting everyone trained is, again, money out of our classrooms. And so we're kind of pushing back a little bit on the, you know, basically on the legislature, and just saying, who's paying the bill for this? I mean, principals, $895 per person to get them trained for 3 or 4 hours online. That's a lot of money.
Just because.
And
Yeah.
I only have 4 or 5, you know, think of districts that have 70, 80, 90 administrators, it's a big bill.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's a lot of, again, kind of an unfunded mandate, so to speak, and so we'll see, but the long and the short of it is we gotta get it
Stay
done.
tuned.
Right,
Well,
so,
does MASB, is that one of the reimbursable
Which-
courses? Is that like a reimbursable course? Because I know MASB, some of their classes didn't get reimbursed for.
this one, they're not gonna, I get a sense they won't do it. The good news is that, I think we can get away with a shortened session of it, but the cost for the board one isn't as bad.
Yeah.
It's more of the individual ones, because MASB will do this one for them. They have to do the company that sponsors that particular product, so it's a little bit costly. MASB's not beating us up too bad. I think for the whole group of you, it's probably $495, I think. So, but what we could do is, if I put that out to you, maybe put out a group of dates, and we'll see. You know, ideally, they would do it via Zoom, and if they do that, then that kind of makes it easy on everybody, but I don't know that they're gonna offer that yet. They just got to the point where they're offering the training, so I will get some more information and send it along to you, but yeah, sometime this summer, we're gonna have to do it, so.
Well, when we first came around to that, back in what, 16-ish, 16, 17, the Mary Kerwin came here from MASB, and all 7 of us,
Yep.
And she's pretty good about moving through stuff,
Yeah.
so you weren't here all day. She came in, she gave you the meat and the potatoes and.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we're the easy part.
Yeah.
Right.
I think,
Yeah.
I think, but the capacity, so it's not Algonac, it's everyone in the state that's gotta do this, so, my thought is that I don't know they're gonna do that many in person. They might, but that's a lot of traveling and a lot of districts to hit,
Oh,
you know.
for MASB to hit them all in
Yeah,
6 months.
It's 6 months, not even 6
No.
months, because it's gotta be
Yeah.
I
by
wonder if they would
the
do some
September
group
1.
ones at RESA, you know?
They might, and that's one of the things we've
Around
talked
the
about.
state or RESA,
Yeah.
have, you know.
Yep. That would probably free the cost, so I, certainly can approach them on that too. And you had another one?
Yeah, we all got an email, I'm guessing, from the MASB Resolutions and Bylaws Committee looking for suggestions for the delegate assembly, if we had any strong thoughts or opinions on positions we think we should recommend to them. They're taking, they're looking for our feedback. I'm guessing we all got it. I got it. Okay, that's officially. All right, bringing us to visitors and requests. We have 2, and I'll give my spiel just because I'm trying to make it muscle memory here. Mr. Allison and Ms. Tesh, you've already heard this, but we ask that you hold 5 minutes for your presentation. The board, we are absolutely listening. You may get questions, we may not respond. This is kind of your voice, your chance, and we appreciate your feedback. So, welcome, Mr. Allison. Let's start with you.
I came again to present the challenge to the board administrators about restoring virtue to public education. I've said this before. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a child without morals is to make a menace to society." I want us to all think about something that took place in this room tonight. I haven't heard any profanity. Have we? Not one profanity. Why is that? Why? Why not? Because we understand that's a virtue of leadership, right? Why don't we teach that to our children in the school? I understand, as we've talked before, I'd like that to start at the home. I went on a bike ride with my grandson yesterday. We went on the Waters Trail. We got to the trestle. If you've never been there, it's worth going to. This 300-foot bridge, we're 70 feet above the water, and there's a parent down there swimming with his 2 children. Maybe 8 and 10. I've never heard that kind of profanity come out of an adult in front of 2 children. So I realize what you're up against here in school. So I don't put it all on your shoulders. But at the end of the day, I appreciate the enthusiasm of the kindergarten elementary teachers. And yeah, I like the enthusiasm. Mr. Goulet, you commended them, hey, good job. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you what, when they become a senior and they graduate from this school district, their proficiency rates are in the tank. And Mr. Latos, you talked about the money, the $700 million. I'm a taxpayer. That came out of my wall. And what I'm asking as a citizen in this community, I want something for the money. I don't just need more services. I want our kids to get the best possible education they can possibly get. And I believe that starts with strong virtues and morals. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the Louisiana legislation just passed a law that now in every public school, university, the 10 Commandments are going to be reinstalled. And they were challenged and they were asked why. And they said, well, you know, our forefathers used these as criteria to make our laws. And we, not only are we telling kids there's no God, there's no commandments, and that's not working out well for us. So we want them to at least have an understanding that this is where these principles came from. Whether you believe there's a God, there's not a God, our forefathers believed that these things were strong principles that we needed to stand on, and that for our society to succeed, these are critical. And so I bring that to you again. I look at it like, you know, they wanted to place them there just to consider where these things came from. Have you ever been going down the highway And there in the medium, in full view, 3 miles ahead, is a trooper sitting in his car, right? In medium. You know why he's sitting there? He's just a visual aid for you to remind you that there's a law that they want you to abide by. And that's what that is. He's not necessarily even there to pull you over. He's just there to remind you that there's a law that you need to abide by, pay attention. And so it's effective. They don't even have to write tickets. They can just sit there and people all of a sudden become mentally aware of what's going on. So as you go into your June session and where you're going to contemplate some of the things that you're going to do here in the Algonac School District, I'd really like you to strongly consider that. And there's a saying that the only thing evil needs to gain ground is for good men and women to do nothing. And I'll be the first one to admit, for too long I've done nothing. Okay, so I'm guilty. It's probably maybe anyone else in this room. But I think our children and our community is worth the struggle. That's why I take the time to come here and just ask you to reconsider. I think as a school district, as a community, we need to do better.
Thank you. Mrs. Tesh?
I do want to thank the teachers. It's been a long time since I've been in school, and especially kindergarten. So I know that you're all doing what you think is the best, but obviously the results and the figures speak for themselves. And Mr. Goulet, I mean, as far as I understand, and I've checked it before, that Algonac is at least below the 50% in the ratings for proficiency in academics. And I just say, why? What are we missing here? And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but St. Clair County Board of Commissioners just passed a resolution to protect homeschoolers because millions have left the public school, especially since COVID, when they found out what was going on in these classrooms. And that was enough for the parents to say, no more of this ideology, no more of this academics that is not helping my child become a leader and a productive member of society. And so I just ask you again, I was here 6 months ago, and I apologize, I don't have my letter that you sent me, Mr. Latos, but I thought you said that you have a policy board meeting January, February, and you would bring it up about displaying the 10 Commandments. And it's funny because I'm known on social media as the 10 Commandment lady. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? I feel strongly about it. And I don't want to go through what Mr. Allison talked about, but we've got to do something. And I gave you all the legal precedents, and you said you needed to discuss it with your board policy. And then you told me, I said, well, where's the board policy? What is that? And you said, we are the board policy. Well, okay. Well, now it's May, and I haven't heard from you. I just want a letter, yes or no, we're going to put it in. And then while you're discussing policies, I hope you put something in that policy regarding teachers having their students on their personal Snapchat, social media. So with that, I just ask you to consider it or let me know what your plans are so we can make our next move. We have plenty of attorneys that are ready to take action. We don't want to go that route. We want you to say, okay, let's try it and see what happens, because the law is on our side. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have several action items. We will start with the food service contract renewal. As we know, we do this, it's a 5-year contract. This is year 4 of the contract. Great. We'll have a bid.
Yes, and then there were no negotiations for the allowed this year by the state. And then next year it's mandatory that the school district go out for bid again for another 5-year contract.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Education approves the 1-year renewal for the 24-25 school year with Chartwells for food services as presented.
Support. Moved and supported. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Up next, 7B, administrative contracts. Would anyone like to make a motion? I'll take that one. I'd like to suggest a motion that the Board of Education approve a one-year extension of the current two-year contract for district administrators Dorothy Getzel, Melissa Hanners, Mitch Landrum, Brooklyn Lestage, Ryan Melrose, Amber Plicki, for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. Support. Moved and supported. Any questions?
Just based on the conversation we had with the administration shuffling a little bit, those will be amended and brought back to you, just so you guys know.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Keep up the good work over there.
Thank you.
And then we have a resolution setting a public hearing on the 24-25 budget. Would anyone like to make a motion on that one?
Motion that the Board of Education approve the resolution as presented, setting the date and time for the public hearing on the proposed 2024-25 budget for Monday, June 24th, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. at the Algonac Junior Senior High School Library with notice of the public hearing to be published as required by law. A copy of this resolution shall be attached to the original of these minutes.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions, comments, issues with that date? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next up, we have the RESA budget and tech program that Brenda Tenniswood had presented to us earlier this evening. Would anyone like to make a motion on that one?
A motion that the Board of Education, having received and reviewed the proposed St. Clair County RESA budget for the 2024-25 school year, adopts a resolution as presented expressing its support of the proposed budget. A complete copy of the resolution shall be attached to the original of these minutes.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions, comments? I'll just add, I do, like Al said, I think the services they provide are fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I now have first-person experience with my son going to tech and graduating, and it's been amazing. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Now we have the parking lot resurfacing bids for the high school and Point Trumbull. Would anyone like to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to request board approval for the award, Algonac Junior Senior High School and Point Trumbull parking lot site work bid to the low bidder Aztec Asphalt in the amount of $282,500.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions?
Just wanted to, back when we originally put this out there, we were looking at the possibility of resurfacing. And obviously, if you've been around the bus circle over there, we've got some needs that kind of go beyond that, and then even up front over here. So this is kind of a combination. This is fixing down to the cement some of these areas over here and then resurfacing the entire. That's why the jump in the bid a little bit. But the reality of it was just top coat, and it was not going to do a whole lot for us. Just was going to make it look nice for a couple weeks until the word showed a little bit. So that's why we've put that one back out.
Do they have a start date?
What was that?
Start date?
Start date, as soon as everybody gets out of the parking lot.
Fair enough.
It's gonna be a busy summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item F is the district-wide technology purchase of Chromebook and monitors to replace the purchases that predated COVID and during COVID themselves as they're approaching their life cycle date. Would anyone like to make a motion? I'll take that one. I'd like to make a motion to request board approval to purchase technology equipment and the attached quote from SETI Computer Products Incorporated in the amount of $215,397.60.
Support.
Supported. Any questions or comments?
And that's, like you had mentioned, that's the first group that's in the cycle of when we got, when we purchased those around COVID time. So, that was strategically done, so we weren't stuck with doing every computer for each year. So as their life cycle expires, we'll continue to cycle in the new ones. So
What do you do with the old ones?
recycle. I mean, they're pretty much throwaways. Evan gets a hold of a company and they kind of smash them.
How many groups are there? You said we're
We got
requesting
3,
18.
Evan, pretty much.
We're at 3 major groups. I think we have 1 minor group in there, but this was the original 600, so it's a big group.
And it's great to see the curriculum and the courses are kind of supporting that hybrid in the class, at home, Chromebook. So,
I think a lot of the curriculums now are kind of banking on that.
yeah,
so.
yeah.
So it's worth the investment.
Great, great. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes, and then I'll take this last one since I've got it here in front of me. Item G that we added to the agenda is for the bids of the bleachers out back. And with that, I would like to make a motion to request that the board approve, award the Algonac Junior Senior High School Grandstand and Press Box Project to E&D Specialty Stands Incorporated in the amount of $1,145,460.
Support.
Supported. Any questions or comments?
When they start this?
Chip, I got Chip Hendrick here tonight. Chip's been hiding in the back there. Chip, but if he didn't at least get up today, Chip drove a long way to be here today. And I, but anytime, you're spending that kind of money, I want to make sure that, so the bid process revealed 3 bids for us. We did end up going to the lowest bidder, but Chip, any insight or just variance in the bids, or pretty much feel pretty comfortable about your recommendation?
I am. We did pre-award conferences with the low 2 bidders. Part of the reason that we did that is that Southern Bleacher, who was the second bidder, they were the ones that actually put together the design. They worked with Evan and Allen to put together the design. So that was the reason we did the low 2. And I found absolutely 0 problems, issues with specialty stands, and I agree that they should work the contract.
So, to the question of when's tip-off begin on this, we are likely looking at October, late October after the football season. It won't be something, and with the track and with the parking lot getting done, and just with the back, it's not going to be probably. Is that what we're still thinking, Chip? October, November?
They will not start until your football season is over, and if you make playoffs, then it goes further, and hopefully it does. They'll wait till that, if the schedule will permit them to get done in time for the football season the next year.
Tentative start date of the 26th with a completion date of December 19th.
And the old ones are just sealing.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Chip, on the old ones, it's the company that's doing it will take them down and because I know it'll come up about what do they do with them in terms of money for scrapping them.
Is there any part that could be, let's say, like a section for the band or somewhere in the back of the end zone or something like that? They're no good. Okay, not safe.
No.
Okay.
And any scrap metal or anything like that, that would have been reflected in their proposal.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, that offsets their removal cost of the scrap and everything else that they get from.
Now, are these, I know when we got the ones on the far side of the field, they're the ones that are enclosed, so that eventually if you wanted to, you could enclose them to store track equipment or whatever. Is that what both sides are going to look like now? Is that what we're getting?
Yes.
And these, you got to remember when we put the bleachers in, that's, we're on, I want to say well over 30 years now. And so there's a lot of stuff that's changed in just the design of them, but even with handicap accessible stuff and some of the other things that they do, and certainly with the press box and different things too. So, we're going to be, they'll last us another 30 years and probably then some. So, but it's due. We've got some, concerns out there with just having something that's that old that's gets used as much as it does. And for the events, we do our graduation out there. We do a lot of different things out there, and it's it'd be nice to not have to worry about a safety issue with them. So
Now, press box is going to be first class, correct?
It's gonna be very nice.
John,
I want to know if I'm sitting on there doing it again, I want it
There's,
perfect.
there's a heater and an air conditioner.
It is. Bug control.
And so nothing changes on the visitor side?
No.
No.
That's done and good to go?
Yeah.
And-
Well, and what we had originally thought was, if it was, so I found this out, this was interesting, because I didn't know this, but we had talked about, when we originally went out, was maybe putting a visitor's press box on the outside and doing a home one. Well, the calculation of the maximum square footage you could have in a press box is the combination of both of them. And so when we started looking at our side and what we kind of wanted over there, it just made more sense to have a section in there for the visiting team and section it off that way.
Plus the double decker, so
Yeah,
one.
And
up
then-
on top, you
yeah,
could go
so
up
we
and
like to
tape
film it
and
and stuff.
film
Okay,
and, yep, scout, whatever up on the top end of that, so.
And what about the cement underneath it? Is all that fine? The
No, it's
foundation?
getting removed, and new cement is being poured along with columns and
Okay,
everything back there is getting ripped completely
Yeah.
down to ground and
Yeah.
new.
awesome. And you mentioned accessibility. Evan sent me a picture of the drawing, so if anyone wants to see it, Evan could share that with you as well. But it is cool. It's got ramps on either side, and then the whole front is all accessible with
They can
wheelchair
actually
spots.
Go up there and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, any other questions?
Thanks, Chip.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Appreciate it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Bringing us to, I would like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss negotiations
Support.
at 8:30.
No,
Yeah.
support.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Sorry.